Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's the Short Sports Show. I'm your host, Daniel Short. Today is Friday, November 29th, 2013. I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. Hope everybody enjoyed being with their family, telling people what they're thankful for, and also watching football. We had three great games yesterday that we'll talk about in just a minute. Also, I'm going to talk about why Jason Kidd is kind of turning into a bit of an embarrassment for the NBA. Also, could this be Nick Saban's last year coaching anywhere? Well, I'll talk about that in just a minute, but go ahead and just say, hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. I know, I went back last week, back home to Texas to celebrate an early Thanksgiving, and then had to work yesterday, which was fun when I found out how much I got paid per hour, which was awesome. But now I'm back here, just relaxing, and just had a good time. And I hope everybody else did. So we'll go ahead and talk about some college football news, and then we'll go ahead and go into what to watch for this weekend. Cal quarterback Jared Goff will have a shoulder surgery and should be ready by the spring. As a true freshman, I know Cal had a bad year this year, but I didn't think it was this bad. But at least they have some positives to build on for next year. As a true freshman, Jared Goff threw for 3,500 yards, 18 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, but also had a few school records for the university in pass completions, attempts, and yardage as well. He started all 12 games, and they are 1-11 right now, which is a bit shocking with head coach Sonny Dykes being there, coming from Louisiana Tech, where they had a lot of success over there. Thinking California would be able to do pretty good. Hasn't shown, but, I mean, as a true freshman to throw for 3,500 yards in the Pac-12, that's pretty good. So Cal has something to look forward to for next year. Also, Alabama center Ryan Kelly has a sprained knee and is questionable if he will play against Auburn this week in the Iron Bowl, which will be a very, very good game. And Alabama has a great stat, only allowing 2 sacks in the past 29 quarters. That's incredible for the Alabama offensive line. They're going to have a tough test going against Auburn, especially if Ryan Kelly cannot play. He has missed a few games in the beginning of the year, missed 3 games. So how they're going to have to adapt without him could be somewhat easy for them since they know he's already been out. Also, some sad news. Baylor head coach Art Briles lost his brother yesterday, Eddie Briles, who fell in the bathroom and suffered a head injury and was taken to the hospital and shortly died afterwards. Number 9, Baylor does play TCU tomorrow on ESPN2, 12:30 Pacific time. And that's sad news for Art Briles. He also lost, I believe, his sister when he was in college, as his sister was going to his game and got in a car accident. So Art Briles has gone through a lot of adversity, and this does give some, after having a bad game against Oklahoma State, gives him some type of motivation, I guess, to really win. And sadly, it has to be against my team, but bad news overall. Michigan athletic director came out and said that head coach Brady Hoke is not on the hot seat despite going 7-4 this year. Michigan has pulled in a very good 2014 recruiting class, including the number 1 cornerback and a top 5 player in the nation in Jabriel Peppers, who looks to make an immediate start or immediate impact when he comes to campus in Ann Arbor. Also, when I was talking about Nick Saban, there was a report that came out that Nick Saban has no timetable on when he would retire from coaching. But from what I've read and what sounds like how he's talking, and this is just my opinion, it does look like, depending on how this year goes and maybe next year, I think these are his last 2 years. Either it's going to be this year if they win it all. I could easily see him saying either after the game or a week after, saying that was it, I'm done coaching, I retire, live off of that, whatever. Or see him coming back next year and seeing how Alabama's somewhat going to have to rebuild, because they're going to miss a few guys going into the NFL draft, and also seniors that are just graduating. next year going to have to be some not. When I say this, I don't want people to think it's a complete rebuilding project, but it's they're gonna have to. They're missing some key guys that they're gonna have to replace. Is what I'm trying to say. So I could see him coming back for next year, but I really do think this could be Nick Saban's last year as a head coach anywhere. I know there's reports of him going to Texas or Ohio State, or not Ohio State, but going to Texas. I don't think that's gonna happen. No matter what the money is, I think Nick Saban is Alabama for life and is going to retire being an Alabama coach. So go ahead and talk. That was basically it for the news that came out this week. But what to watch for this week? Number 1, Alabama at number 4, Auburn. This is not the year Alabama wanted to play Auburn on the road. I think it's going to be a very tough game for both. Really, beginning of the year, I didn't think Auburn was any good, especially with their quarterback situation, how they had Nick Marshall, who was a transfer from some other small school, and he played cornerback and just now was playing quarterback. He played quarterback, I think, in high school, played defensive back, and then now came back to be a quarterback. I really didn't think that was going to work out at all for Auburn. And they have shocked me. They really have. They've done a lot of good things, both offensively and defensively. And this is going to be a tough game for Alabama. But I do believe Alabama does get the win. 31-24, Alabama gets the victory. That is my prediction. Also, the number 2 game, what to watch for, is number 21, Texas A&M, on the road at number 5, Missouri. And Johnny Manziel knows that he can't go to SEC championship. BCS Bowl is basically out of reach. So now, best thing to do is take out a top 5 team, especially in the SEC. Go ahead and take them out. And I believe that's what they do. I think Texas A&M gets the victory 35-34. And I think the only reason if they do lose, it's the defense that lets them down. I think A&M is going to score some points on Missouri. I know Missouri has a pretty solid defense, but I think A&M and Manziel is going to have a big game. It's just hoping that their defense steps up and does something and stops Missouri from scoring some points. Number 3 game, what to watch for, is number 6, Clemson, on the road at number 10, South Carolina. And Taj Boyd, I've rooted for you from the beginning of the year, and I'm going to keep rooting for you even after some bad games. I think Clemson does get the victory, 28-17 over South Carolina. Number 4 game, number 25, Notre Dame. Somehow they're back in the rankings again. At number 8, Stanford. And I think Stanford gives them that punch with their running back, Tyler Gaffney. Has a huge game. Final score, 28-14. Stanford gets the victory. And number 5 game, what to watch for. Now there was a lot of other okay to solid games that I could have picked. I could have picked Florida State playing Florida just for Jameis Winston purposes. I could have picked something else like that. But I decided to pick number 9, Baylor, going on the road to my TCU Horned Frogs. And, I'm not going to go back and talking on my rant how I said Baylor was bad, how they haven't played a really good team, and when they do, they're going to get crushed like they did against Oklahoma State. I'm not going to bring that up again, even though I just did. TCU has one of the top defenses. People still forget that they have a pretty solid defense. We have the number 1 cornerback in the nation. Don't believe me? Go look it up on the draft boards. Number 1 cornerback in the nation, in Jason Verrett, in his senior game, his last game, senior year, not going in a bowl game this year because of really bad offense. Also, we have Casey Paul Hall, who's gone through a lot and really wants, his first start was against Baylor when RG3 was there, and RG3, beat us 50-48, blah, blah, blah. That was his first game. And now to end it in his last game against Baylor at home, senior night or senior day. It should be a night game, but they moved it to 2:30 in the afternoon. TCU, I believe, can get it done. I think they have a lot, even though they're not going to a bowl game, they know that. But they know Baylor's a rival. They know they can take them out from a BCS game now, or, obviously not from a national championship because they're already out. But from a major bowl game, they can hit them and just knock them out. And I believe TCU goes and does it. Now, am I being a little bit biased? Yeah, most likely. But I can still see, I really do see, even if I wasn't a TCU fan, I can really see TCU getting beating Baylor because we have a good defense. We just have to score some points. If we can score points, we can stop Baylor's offense. People think, oh, you can't. Well, look what Oklahoma State did. TCU kept it close against Oklahoma State. Baylor didn't. So, obviously, there's a chance for TCU to win this game. So, this offense needs to get it going. TCU, I believe, gets the win 35-24. Oh, man. I really hope TCU wins that game. And so we'll move on to the NFL. Some quick notes again, and then we'll recap Thanksgiving and talking about Mike Tomlin, what he did, which lost a lot of respect right there. Anyways, Kansas City Chiefs linebacker Justin Houston is out 2 to 3 weeks due to an injured elbow suffered against my San Diego Chargers last week. He's tied for third in the NFL with 11 sacks. And Kansas City does play the Denver Broncos this upcoming week. Speaking of the Broncos, they got some good news coming their way. Broncos head coach John Fox is set to return next week, not this upcoming week, but the next week against the Tennessee Titans. And this was a lot sooner than expected. They did not believe that he would be able to come back next week, but he has been cleared by all doctors and it should be ready to go to be on the sidelines for the Denver Broncos. Also, Broncos get another player coming back, well, I guess he's still coming back. Well, he's not coming back. But anyways, running back Noshawn Moreno did practice and should be ready to go this week against Kansas City. He did have, 227 yards against Patriots rushing. He's finally shown that he's found the system. Took him about 4 years, but Noshawn Moreno is a pretty good running back. Aaron Rodgers looks to return in Week 14 against the Atlanta Falcons, and Packers are going to need a lot of help. They are 5-6-1, and their playoff hopes are slowly going down because the NFC is a very tough conference with teams that are all trying to get that last wild card and still trying to even fight for their their division. I think Packers are not they're not going to win the division. There's no way, even if Aaron Rodgers was completely healthy and came back this upcoming week, I think it's the Lions division. They just got it down. So with that, you're looking at a wild card spot. But then when you look at the wild card, as I look at my teams, you got a whole lot of teams going for that last spot. You got Carolina trying to get in there with, the Saints could winning the division. Then you got the Cardinals and the 49ers trying to get that also the last wild card because of the Seahawks being the top team. So there's just a whole lot of good teams that are more have more chance than the Packers do right now. The Cincinnati Bengals game, or Cincinnati Bengals at the San Diego Chargers game, will be the first blackout game of the year for all 32 teams. This is the first one out of all the games that have been played so far. This is the first blackout game. And I am going to talk about this. Now, I talked about this in my first episode, or maybe my second one that I ever did, talking about why the San Diego Chargers should leave San Diego. There's 5,300 tickets remaining, which is really, really bad. And this is a really good game. Bengals a playoff contender, and San Diego trying to keep their hopes alive. This is what I believe. If I was in San Diego Chargers management, this is what I do. Knowing that the stadium already sucks, and also, fans for the past few years, if not more than that, have not been coming to the games. And that's not because, they don't feel like it. I mean, ticket prices are pretty expensive now, so I can understand why. But this is what I do for San Diego. I lower the ticket prices just a little bit, just to help out some people so they can come to the games, because it's always a great experience to go to a game. So what I do, lower the ticket prices. That's the first thing. Then, right after that, and you have to do it before this year ends, I tell San Diego, I tell the fans, I come out in a public statement, I say, hey, sell out the rest of these games, and majority 90% sold out. And then also for next year, having the 8 home games that they have 6 of them must be sold out games, and no matter who the opponent is. And if that does not happen, then they build a stadium in LA and tell San Diego, hey, we're moving. LA's going to buy tickets. we're gone. Because San Diego, they're losing money when people don't buy tickets, and they can't rely on sponsorships to go and buy those tickets just so they can lift a blackout game. I mean, it's embarrassing that it has to be the San Diego Chargers to have the blackout game, and it's ridiculous. I don't think San Diego should be, or the Chargers should be in San Diego anymore, because obviously San Diego doesn't love the Chargers anymore by these blackout games that have been happening. So that's just my 2-cent rant that I had. Let me know what you guys think as well. Also, what to watch for this week. Or whoa. Before we get into that, let's recap what happened yesterday on Thanksgiving Day. So, Packers and Lions. Lions have lost 9 straight Thanksgiving games, and Matthew Stafford has never beat the Packers in his career. And I think there's another stat that doesn't really matter now. But this game I had predicted would be pretty close. I don't think I really said my prediction, but in my head, I come up with predictions all the time. And I was thinking the score would be 27-30 something, right? With probably the Packers winning. I think Matt Flynn, because he had that big game in his, one of his starts against the Lions, and he threw for like 6 touchdowns, 480 yards, stuff like that. I was thinking it was going to be something like that, a shootout game. Well, it was a shootout game. It was a lopsided, one-sided shootout game with the Detroit Lions beating the Green Bay Packers 40-10, and Matthew Stafford having 330 yards, 3 touchdowns, and Calvin Johnson had 101 yards and a touchdown, while on the Green Bay Packers side, they were held to 164 total. No, yeah, it was 164 total yards of offense. That's it. The entire game, not just the first quarter, first half, second half, the entire game. They were held to 164 yards of total offense. That's terrible. I mean, this is the Packers. Now I know they don't have Aaron Rodgers, but still, Matt Flynn, you're somewhat of a solid quarterback. It's incredible how bad that game was. The first quarter was pretty close with the Lions, making some mistakes and Packers capitalizing, but after the first quarter, it was a different story after that. That's incredible how the Lions have just really dominated the Packers just like that. Also, let's go on to the next game. Was DeMarco Murray's 3 touchdowns helped the Dallas Cowboys get the victory over the Oakland Raiders. 31-24 was the final score. And it was a close game, which with the Raiders, they have a third-string, fourth-string quarterback, and Matt McGloin starting. And the Cowboys' defense was pretty bad. I mean, Raiders didn't even have Darren McFadden playing, and still, it was a close game. Now the Raiders are no, I'm not gonna say the Cowboys should have really won this game 31-10 or something. It should have been really just kind of a blowout game for them, especially how the offense was going. So DeMarco Murray, I had you on my fantasy team. Thank you so much. You helped me a lot. So the Cowboys do get the victory over the Raiders, 31-24. And the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now this is going to get controversial right here. Pittsburgh Steelers kept it close with the Baltimore Ravens last night. And even the head coach, Mike Tomlin, got involved and tried to play the game with the players. But the Ravens did kick a field goal to win the game, 22-20. And so this is what happened in case people haven't heard or didn't watch. This is what happened. So on a kickoff return, Jacoby Jones was going down the sideline, happened to be down the Pittsburgh Steelers sideline, and Mike Tomlin decided he wanted to get a little bit closer to the action, and got a little close where it was supposed to be a touchdown or something like that. I didn't really watch the play, but the point is, something happened, and Mike Tomlin is going to be the NFL will review the play where Mike Tomlin stepped on the field in Thursday's game, last night's game, and possible fine. I doubt suspension, but yes, a fine will come down on Mike Tomlin. And I had so much respect for Mike Tomlin. When he got hired at Pittsburgh, I was really hoping the Chargers would hire him because I knew he was going to be a really good head coach. And it's I don't know. I lost a lot of respect. Like, why would you go and do that, dude? I mean, just because your team's having a bad year and you suck right now doesn't mean to go and step on the field and possibly kind of, little trip. Remember when the Dolphins and the Jets went at it and was it a Jets player that kneed the Dolphins player or vice versa? Either way, one of those two things happened, and then there's a whole thing that went on. And it's basically kind of what happened here, except Mike Tomlin didn't touch him. He just kind of got in his way. Either way, it didn't help the Steelers at all because final score was 22-20. And this game could have actually been different. Steelers could have actually won this game, but they missed a field goal, and it was a very bad field goal. And this could have been a 23-22 game or a 23-19, something like that. Who knows if they would have gone for a field goal. Either way, Steelers kind of blew it for themselves. And Mike Tomlin, I've lost respect for you, dude. That was just terrible. To some MLB news, Minnesota Twins agreed to a 4-year, $49 million contract with right-handed pitcher Ricky Nolasco. Why, Ricky? Why? Ricky! Okay. Anyways, Ricky, I thought he was going to stay with the Dodgers. I knew he was a free agent, but I really thought he would stay with the Dodgers. Now, he was pretty solid for the Dodgers. He did have some games where it's like, great, we picked up this guy. Great. No, but he really helped our depth and was pretty solid throughout the playoffs for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And now he goes to the Minnesota Twins, who have no chance in making the playoffs. Actually, no, they do have a chance now with the Detroit Tigers letting go Prince Fielder. But still, come on, man. Really? We could have offered you somewhat of the same deal. Maybe not $49 million, because you're really not worth that much. But still, Ricky Nolasco signs with the Minnesota Twins. Not surprising, but the New York Yankees and the second baseman free agent Robinson Cano are, quote, far apart. And this is another thing I wanted to talk about. Now, Robinson Cano wants a $300 million contract, at least $300 million contract, right? Don't know if he wants it all guaranteed, but that's the deal he wants. He wants to set history with a $300 million contract. Let me tell you why that will never happen. One, it's stupid for any team to ever think any player is worth $300 million because no player's ever worth $300 million. I don't care if Jackie Robinson was back. I love Jackie Robinson. I love the movie 42. He's not worth $300 million. Nobody is worth $300 million. That is ridiculous for anybody to ever think they wanted $300 million to sign. No one should even make that in probably a lifetime. Now, I know a whole lot of baseball players do. I mean, they spend it, but they make that over time. But that is ridiculous. I mean, he's made a ton of money already. What are you going to possibly... What is $300 million going to buy that a $10 million contract wouldn't buy? Okay, you can buy, 200 more houses with 100 more cars that you're only going to drive once? I mean, it's ridiculous that... I don't know. Robinson Cano, I want him to go to the Dodgers because that'd be awesome to have him as our second baseman. We have a powerful lineup right there. But I wouldn't want the Dodgers to spend over $100 million on him. I mean, I could see someone, whether it's the Yankees or another team, if he decides to go somewhere, sign him for a little bit over $100 million. Yeah. Is he worth that much? No player's worth that much. I love Clayton Kershaw, but he's probably going to get a $200 million contract, which it's like, why spend all that money for one player, no matter if he's the next great thing, when you could spread that money out and have a bunch of top players on your team to win more ball games and end up hopefully winning the World Series, which isn't that what you play for? Isn't that what you're supposed to play for, is the World Series and winning and being in that moment? Or is it just to make a whole lot of money and just say forget it? I don't know. People have different opinions. I understand people come from different backgrounds. But I'd rather win bunch of World Series than have $300 million in my bank account. Sounds ridiculous, but it's whatever. Also, Cincinnati Reds signed Skip Schumaker. Is it Schumacher? Shoemaker? I'm pretty sure it's Schumacher. He used to be with the Dodgers as well. So a 2-year, $5 million contract, and best of luck for him. He was a utility player for us. He played a lot of positions for the Dodgers, and sad to see him go. So now to the NBA. there's been a situation in the NBA for the past few years, and that's a ticket situation. What I mean by ticket situation, I don't mean ticket situation as in you get pulled over and you get a ticket. No. I'm talking about when you buy tickets and teams selling tickets. Now, the Milwaukee Bucks, not Buccaneers, but the Milwaukee Bucks, are selling pretty solid tickets. I'm talking about even close to floor tickets, if not floor tickets, for $3.81. That's it. $3.81 could get you down on the floor. Close enough, if not on the floor. Really? I mean, it's the NBA, and I don't care if you're haven't won a game. If you're the Utah, or Utah has won a game now, but $3.81. I mean, that's a great deal. If I lived in Milwaukee, I'd be going to every single game. I don't care they suck. That's an experience. You got to go to a pro game. You got to see pro players. You got to watch maybe pretty good basketball. $3.81. That's not a bad deal. And I mean, I know you got to pay for parking. Take a bus. Walk. It's cold in Milwaukee. I understand. That's why there's coats. Get a coat. I mean, you're going to save money anyways. Now I'm paying $3.81. Might as well do that. Also, the Minnesota Timberwolves are selling tickets just to high five the Miami Heat players that are going to come and play them. They're selling tickets not to watch the game, not to even care about the Minnesota Timberwolves, just to high five LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and whoever else is on that team that no one really cares about other than LeBron James. And they're pretty cheap tickets too. I don't think they're that expensive. I didn't check the exact price, but I did see a report came out that said Timberwolves are selling the tickets that are right next to, kind of like near the locker room where they walk in. You know, there's that over thing and kaboom, you high five. Yeah, that's what they're doing. The ticket situation for the NBA is terrible right now. I mean, and so is for the Chargers as well. It's mainly just the Chargers in the NFL, but. And I saw someone comment on it, and it said, "This is what happens when you put all the good players on 12 of just 30 teams. This is why we need to spread it out a little bit and not have just so many teams being so good. And partially it's the ownership because they don't do that good of drafting players and scouting and stuff like that." But it's ridiculous to see prices that low for an NBA pro team. $3.81. That's like your AAA, your AA. That's your affiliate type prices for mid-level seats right there. But for an NBA game, it's ridiculous what the situation they have right now. So I just thought I'd bring that up, maybe bring some awareness to that, and it's great for right now for those people that are that live around there. You get a great deal. You may hate the team. You might think they suck. They might actually suck. But if you can go watch a game for $3.81, go do it because, with the economy being tough right now, might as well go have a little bit of fun and watch a basketball game and spend it with your family. I think that's awesome. If Seattle Supersonics were still here, which I wish they were, and they were selling prices like that, I don't have a whole lot of money right now, but one day out of, the week, let's go watch a Supersonics game that we could pay $3.81 for. Wow, that's amazing. But I don't suggest anybody move to Milwaukee or Minnesota just to go watch a game. That's ridiculous. So Jason Kidd was fined $50,000 by the NBA for intentionally having a Nets player bump into him after he told him bump into me. To make him drop/spill his drink on the floor and trying to get extra time or something like that. I don't know. That Jason Kidd, your team is 4-11. You should have never been hired as a coach. Maybe as an assistant, but not as a head coach of any basketball team. And Jason Kidd, you are slowly becoming I don't know. I had a whole lot of respect for Jason Kidd, and now it's just like you should have just retired and just stayed home and watched basketball on the couch with your family now. The Nets are 4-11 right now, and I finished my show right there. That was, I believe I talked about everything I needed to talk about right there. It's just crazy stuff, but hope you guys enjoyed. Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving again, and I will see you guys next Monday, 10 a.m. Pacific time, maybe 9 a.m. Pacific time. Just got to check the schedule. If you liked it, make sure you follow on Spreaker.com. And if you missed any episodes or want to re-listen to any episodes, go on YouTube and go ahead and subscribe to Short Sports Show. Thank you guys for listening. I will see you guys on Monday.